Hello, welcome to the Battling Barrow and another spooky terrain crafting video. In this, we are going to make some cemetery tiles based on how I make my sort of wilderness tiles. If you've watched the D&D recaps and full play sessions, you might recognise this from back in March when I needed to make a graveyard for a random Thieves Guild adventure that took place in a graveyard, so I needed to make these. So, and this is what I come up with. They're sort of 6x6, and they match the wilderness tiles in thickness, and we shall have a go at making them now. Tiles are easily made, and they're going to be made 6x6 inches. These will be compatible with the other wilderness tiles, and I'm just going to make a whole bunch of those. Not too sure how many I need, and for now I know I'm going to have a path going through them, so I'm just going to mark that out on the tile. I'm going to show you every single path what I'm going to do, but I'm going to make it 2 inches wide. So as long as we meet up here, it's all good. Bends on the road, if you watch anything like sewer tiles, same manner. So just on the bend will come round here. T-junction. Basically top and left to right. And if you wanted to do a crossroads, just on all pieces. I'm not too sure if I will do one yet at this stage. Next, just gonna join up the path just to give me some. This is a path and not a road, so it's thinner than the wilderness tiles. But I'm going to make them in the same way, so I'm going to just lightly try and press the pathway. Further details on this, you can watch that video, the wilderness tiles video, where I make road tiles. With them cut out and the paths all traced through, I can get onto painting. I am using this brown, it's like a grey brown, called cocoa bean. I'm just going to slap that on. Feel free to obviously Mod Podge it, but I'm going to be covering it in PVA soon for flocking. And the reason I'm using this colour brown is I want it to be more, well, it's a graveyard, I want it to just feel a bit decayed, and this is certainly giving me that effect. I'm just going to undercoat all of them, including just the path as well. So whilst we're waiting for that to dry, we can turn our attention to the graves themselves. Now, there are a number of options you can have. First being, you can buy some, and that is exactly what I did. I bought these from Renedra. I actually bought it from Mighty Lance Games, but they're by Renedra, and they are a pack of graves. You get 2 sprues, both the same. Little size comparison of Hugo here, so you can see. That's one option. Also, in the same order, I got this Grave Wraith, and they have graves in as well, sort of smaller, little teeny tiny ones, which is great. I also have, I don't think it's available to buy anymore, but this Citadel Graveyard set. So I shall be making use of this. It has some walls and some mausoleum pieces. I've already pre-painted these. So mausoleums come on a base like so. So what I have done, even on the bit here, I've flocked it all the way around with the flock we will ultimately be using. So even though it's got some paving slabs, it should blend in nicely. And there's different bits and pieces here. And that's okay, so we use those. And I guess another option you could use is to make them yourselves, which a few years back on a Halloween month I did so using these quite low budget and quaint now gravestones, but we could cannibalise these, as it were. If I need more graves, save making some, I can just pull these off and glue them into place where I'm going to have them. But we shall see. Hopefully there'll be enough here. If there's not, I can always use these and make them myself. So I guess the first thing is cutting these out and getting some paint on them. Since the time of me making this back in March till now, Crooked Staff Terrain has done a graveyard of their own, and you can go over to there to have a look at that. And then he releases PDFs where you can make your own graves, so you don't even have to buy any or do what I do. So if you want some gravestones that look pretty cool, do that. Head over there. I'm going to base coat them in black, and I'm going to keep them on the sprue for this, just for quick and ease. And I can just go over when I cut them out, go over the top bits that's attached to the sprue at a later date. The graves have been undercoated in black on the sprue, and I'm going to paint them on the sprue, and I'm just going to dry brush some of this horse tone roaring on from a coat to arms. Big dry brush is probably more of an overbrush, and I will be washing it later on. Going on blotchy, so I'm not worried about complete coverage of the black, if that makes sense. So I've got multiple textures on, multiple colours. I'm using a dry brush mainly to stipple it on. Once they've dried, they can be clipped off. Any bits like up here where the it was attached to the sprue, you can just go over again with the paint if you're unhappy with it, where you miss somewhere on the sprue, to go over it, but it does save time doing it this method. Next, I'm going to come in with a green of this shade. This is camera green. This is perfect for this because it's dried out a bit. And it's just what I want, so I want to dry brush it on. So I'm going to load up my brush and go as heavy as little as you want. I'm going to pick this one here as a demonstration. So holding at the bottom, I'm going to go probably more heavier at the top, and if there's any overhangs, definitely loads at the back. You're not really going to see us too much. Maybe a bit at the bottom. I'm just going to go around and do that all over. Hopefully you get this really nice weathered tombstone look going on. Final bit of weathering, well, you can do as much as you want really, is come on with almost a dry brush of brown wash in places. Not too much. Dab off if you think you've done a bit too much than what you wanted. And in places speckle it on where moss and what have you is. I don't know, I got green fingers from doing the dry brushing before. This is going to be a case of definitely less is more. Just real subtle with it. So, load your brush up, dab a lot off, and you've got to think about where grime and dirt might build up. Helps if you can look at real old gravestones. I mean, living in merry old England, you can't really travel too far without coming across a graveyard that's at least 100 years old. Let's do it back just in case it gets seen by players, but really hopefully most of the attention's going to be on the front. I carry on doing this and then wash my fingers. Apply some glue along the road section, and I'm going to come in with some brown. This is from Jarvis Flocks, like a light brown. It's pretty much the same technique as the wilderness tiles for the road. That's on flock now. Get rid of the excess, and you can leave this to dry. Going to be bunching the graves up into groups of 4, 2 on either side of the road, and I'll work out what I'm going to put on. So I'm going to bring over 2 tiles here, and I want to place them before we do the green flock, because otherwise they'll just have been plonked on top. So they wouldn't go here, because that means the body would be here, so they'd be back here. Alignment's important as well. You wouldn't really have them like this, they're going to be facing this. So I'm going to go towards the back, but when I butt them up I want them to be sort of somewhat evenly spaced, so they're going to be probably put on the tiles here and here. So I can remove this one for now. Just so they're evenly spaced. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just pretty far back, just going to push in. They just slightly indented into the foam, and if it leans forward a bit wonky, so that's okay. Gluing these in, and you can, that's the thing about this, you can put them at all wonderful little angles and so forth. So perhaps with this one here, I'll show you. Yeah, perhaps I can push this one more straight here, but maybe push down heavier on one side. So it's difficult to show you at the time, at the moment, until I glue them in. And then just one straight up in. And we can glue them in. And for the gluing, I'm just going to use hot glue, just for speed. And once we get to do the flocking, the PVA will also act as an extra bond around it. Super glue is not going to be any good because it will probably melt the foam. When it comes to using these graves that I made myself a few years back, these are made from foam board, so they're a bit squidgy, so it can't push down to make a mark. So for these I'm just going to have to sort of roughly work out where they're going to go and pushing using this sculpting tool. Like that. And the process then is just the same. For these blank tiles, I'm keeping 4 totally blank, just going to be grass. They can be really versatile and be used in conjunction with the wilderness tiles. And also I can put the Games Workshop and other terrain bits on. This gives me an idea. So, let's do this. How about an open grave? The nice thing about foam, if I'm digging into it, perhaps it can be a fresh grave being dug. So I use this more, I don't know if it's new is the correct word, but fresher looking tomb. What I could do is here, sorry Hugo, you're going to be my sacrificial how. Yeah, okay. And you get this glued in first. We can have an open grave. And we'll have to repaint all the sides. I haven't glued this down to the chipboard yet, so that'll be an empty hole. So hopefully I can. The lovely thing about using foam rather than just putting things onto a mat is you can dig down. So I can paint that up. Now this side's not looking so. Come in with fingers and squidge in, so it doesn't look so uniform. So you know, right angles, nature, right angles don't really get on. I shall paint around that later on. Next up, green flocking time. Finally, the grass. Cover the patch area of the dirt in watered down PVA. Apply grass in patches and tap off. When all the flock and glue and what have you has dried, you'll be left with something like this. Now this is perfectly acceptable. You can throw this down and you've got a graveyard tile. But graveyards are seldom pristine grass, so we have to make it look a bit overgrown. Now here is the age-old conflict of a terrain maker between making something look realistic and practical to play on, and I'm going to try and go somewhere in between. If you're going to do this as a diorama, you would sort of cover this in overgrowth if you're going for like a Highgate Cemetery type look. So what I'm going to aim for is to get it to look something like this. So this is what we're aiming for. So it, you know, it breaks up the green a bit better than this, and it still allows you to put models over here where the overgrowth would be at its most. The path obviously clear. So for this, take some glue, and I'm just going to apply it. Begin with just around the gravestones, around the base of tombstones themselves. And I don't have a static grass applicator, so what we're going to do is apply some static grass around here. It'd be really easy with that, so I'm going to try the poor man's static grass applicator, tweezers. Grab a big clump of it over the base, so any spillage over the container, so any spillage falls back in. Just dab it on. So you may need to wipe off the end of your tweezers every so often and grab a bigger clump. Just dab it on. Tap off the excess. Next, I've got some more static grass. I've got this stuff that I've had for years. Can't remember where I got it from, but it's static grass sort of on a mat. Probably from something like Knock or Jarvis or some other model railway manufacturer. So I'm going to tear a bit off and just dump it in the glue, stick it over in places. I want maybe some on the edge of the road. I'll do a bit more of that later on. Clump foliage, just take a bit off. Again, dab in the glue, put it on sort of the edge of the road where perhaps bushes and shrubs have grown along the edge, or plants. Likewise, a bit of lichen or lichen, depending on your pronunciation. It's just the same sort of theory. Dab it in. And with the clump foliage, what I tend to find to like doing is just taking a little small bit and maybe just randomly dot it on in places, and you can do the same with a bit of lichen, a bit of lichen. Dump it randomly in. And what you can also do, if you can pull some off that's sort of got a trunk, as it were, dump that in the glue, and then come into a gravestone and put it in so it looks like it's growing up the tombstone. You can come in with some pre-made flower tufts if you want, just to add a bit of colour to it. Doesn't always have to be drab. Cemetery, dump that on the edge of the road here, and so forth. We're going to allow this to dry before we do a leaflet. Basically, go as wild as you want, and then once it's dried, we're going to add in some leaf litter. Basically, with this, try and get a nice good load on there. It'll work out better for you in the end. It'll just look more natural. In nature, there isn't any smooth lines or whatever. So I might try and see if I've got some more different coloured clump foliage, but this will do for now. Just keep going till you're happy. I think that'll do for now, he says as he adds more. But yeah, that's the general gist of this. I'm going to leave 3 totally blank sort of plain tiles that don't have a road on. I'm going to leave four of those totally uncovered, as they will be contain things like any pre-made terrain you have. So in my case, that Games Workshop set, that'll be where they will live, and it makes it more versatile for other projects as well. Okay, I think that'll do for this one. So you end up with it. Looking like so. On the tile with hole in, I'm just going to come in with my homemade texture mud paint. I ditched the Games Workshop pot I used to put it in, if you watched that video, and gone for a pot like this so I can make loads of it up at once. I'm just going to come into the hole and just sort of slap it on. Come over here as well. Some dirt on the grass. Okay, we can leave it here, or we can take it a bit further. So I'm going to do that. So I've got some scenic sprayer. This is just watered down PVA. And I'm just going to spray in various areas. Coming with some leaf litter flock. It's just leaf litter and black flock, and just black flock, dark brown flock. Just scatter some leaf litter over it to act as blown leaves. Go as heavy or much as you want. Also got a bit of a burnt static grass, burnt colours from Wood and Scenics. So there's stuff here. I'm just going to spray on as well. Just add a bit more definition to the grass, try and break up uniformity of the green. So there are probably better products than what I'm using, which is just watered down PVA. Keep Gaming Scenics, for instance, be a better option for you. Once I've done that, I'm going to spray a few drops over just to seal it in. So you can keep on a bit more flocked places as well. next time that's hopefully added low. Look at that, that looks great. I'm actually really pleased with that. That looks like just the look I'm going for, this overgrown cemetery. And now, with everything dry and done, I can glue the chipboard onto the bottom. This just protects the underneath and gives the piece a bit of weight and stops it from blowing about. And when you're done, this is what they'll end up with. So before we take a look at it all set up, just want to take the time to thank you for watching, thank you for liking this video. If you have, if you haven't, have a like of it, leave a comment, have a subscribe to the channel, and if you're really dedicated, pop over to Patreon where I do a few extra videos and a few extra bits and pieces and give away things I create for the games I play. So if you're interested, head over there. But now, I just want to take time to say thank you for watching. Until the next video, guys, stay safe, take care, bye bye.